Good night, stranger. I see you have wandered deep into the forest and stumbled over my den. You look quite weary, and dusk has already progressed too far for you to continue your journey safely. Let me invite you in, so you may rest for the night in a warm and safe space. My name is Titania, and if you let me tell you a bedtime story, I'm sure you will fall asleep in no time. The Phantom of the Opera did exist, Gaston Leroux wrote in his 1910 novel, so let me show you the building that inspired his story, the mysteries, rumors and legends that started the very opening night of the Nouvelle Opéra de Paris, or what you might know as the Opéra Garnier. Make yourself at home. This is where you will sleep. Let's start. Now you may find a comfortable position to lie down and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. I want you to think of 3 things you were grateful for today. Maybe the sun was shining, maybe you saw something beautiful, maybe you shared a moment with a loved one. Allow yourself to be grateful for even the smallest things. Concentrate on your breath again. Every time you inhale and exhale, feel the air flow under your nose. If there are thoughts coming up, look at them like you would look at a cloud in the sky and watch them pass by. With every exhale, your body relaxes deeper. Your feet become heavy. Your legs become heavy. Your shoulders become heavy. Your arms become heavy. Your hands become heavy. And your head becomes heavy. I'm now going to count down from 5. And when I reach 1, you will be completely present in tonight's story. 5. You are completely safe and relaxed where you are in this moment in time. 4. A warm and cozy light spreads from your heart throughout your body, its golden glow filling you with a feeling of love and solace. 3. You let go of everything that is still binding you to today. 2. My voice is leading you through the light and beyond. You can now hear the chattering of people and shoes on a cobblestone street. 1. You stand on a wide street, brightly lit with gas lamps on both sides, framed by multi-storied buildings rising into the night sky. Around you, people in their evening finery, with men in top hats and women in elaborate skirts pouring into the same direction, while not once halting their excited conversations. It is cold, you can feel the winter air on your face, but you are dressed just as warmly as the ladies and gentlemen around you, who flaunt their coats and winter wraps. As you raise your gaze to follow the flow of the masses, your eyes fall upon an illuminated building, lying like a golden giant at the end of the avenue. 2 winged sculptures gleam bright from their places left and right atop the decorated facade. Someone bumps into you from behind, and you stumble forward. You hear a soft thump as the man drops something, but he has hurried away before you can call out to him. You kneel down to find a folded newspaper he had been carrying under his arm. As you turn it around, your eyes skim over the title, Le Figaro, and then jump to the date, Tuesday, January 5, 1875. Right there on the front page it reads, Daily Gazette, Guide for the Audience of the Opera in French. The article says, from this evening onwards, the official public will flock to the building, resplendent for the first time with all its lights, all its mirrors, all its gilding. Excitedly, you trap the newspaper under your arm and make your way towards the opera with the rest of the crowd. The closer you get, the more details reveal themselves to you. On a fresh red copper dome, a triad of bronze statues towers on the zenith of the building. You can make out the Greek god Apollo, who you recognize by the golden lyre in his hand, raised high above his head. Sculpted reliefs sit under the roof. You spot balconies framed with Corinthian columns, gilt busts, innumerable allegoric sculptures and arched entryways. Quickly you arrive at the steps leading up to the entrance. As you tip your head back to take in the facade once more from below, you find that the gilded frieze stretching along the attic story is comprised of theater masks, staring back at you with their contorted faces. The soles of your shoes click on the marble as you ascend and push through the central archway that is clogged up by the stream of visitors, but you manage to get to a vestibule decorated with 4 large seated statues. Groups of lanterns placed on marble pedestals are positioned opposite these statues, bathing the room in bright light. You try to orient yourself, but due to the amount of people it is difficult to see anything clearly. In an attempt to assess the room, you move your head from side to side, peering into the darker corners of the room. But to your dismay, the ticket booths at either end of the vestibule are closed. With a disappointed sigh, you pull out the newspaper again in hopes to find information that might present you a different way to enter, as you suddenly feel a hand on your shoulder. A neatly dressed man in a coat and top hat, a golden monocle glinting in the warm light of the lanterns, looks at you intently. "There you are. Monsieur Dupuis will consult you during the intermission," he says, in a hushed voice. With that, he reaches one of his gloved hands into his coat pocket, pulls out a ticket, and hands it to you. Without saying another word, he turns on his heel and disappears into the crowd. For a moment, you are so perplexed that you can only stand between the bustling guests around you and gape at the small ticket that now belongs to you. You look up at the doorman who is waving attendees into the opera and slowly shrug. You might not know a Monsieur Dupuis, but now that the chance to attend the inauguration of the opera presents itself, you might as well take it. So you present your ticket and are ushered through the space between 2 massive square columns. The low ceiling of the vestibule opens up into an enormous space filled with twinkling lights that are reflected from mirrors, marble, and the expensive-looking jewelry worn by the ladies. You stand at the foot of a grand staircase made out of white marble, 2 gigantic bronze candelabra on each side that are composed of different sculpted figures who each carry their own bouquet of lights. Trying to take in as much as possible, you are awed by the high columns, the red and greenish stone of the balustrade, the guards in full dress and parade helmets with horsehair plumes, and the colorful dresses. They are blue, pink, white, and green, skirts full in the back, exaggerating silhouettes through drapery and opulent trimmings on luxurious fabric. The husbands of these women wear more subdued dark tailcoats and white shirts. As you inspect your own attire, you notice that you are also dressed for the occasion. There's so much to see that you are not sure you will ever be able to recount how this hall looks once you leave it. Your gaze wanders upwards over the landings and galleries, over statues, reliefs, and lights, landing on the ceiling fresco that is illuminated by a candelabra running along the uppermost gallery, and depicts deities and allegories fighting and prevailing in vibrant hues, the blue, yellow, and red mirroring the colors of the women's skirts below them. While you are still awestruck by the opulent decor, someone gasps next to you, and you can hear a man whisper to his wife, "Here comes the Lord Mayor of London." From a stairway on the left, a group of people emerges, led by what you assume is the Lord Mayor, with his wife on his arm. Just like the rest of their entourage, they are wearing extravagant coats with floral and fur applications, spangled barrettes of pearl or gold adorning the ladies' coiffures. People are watching them ascend the grand stairway from the landing and the higher galleries, some of the onlookers leaning over marble and metal banisters in order to catch a glimpse. When they reach the landing, the crowd parts and lets them pass, climbing the next flight to the right, where, you assume, they will take their seats in one of the loges. The couple standing next to you is still huddled together, and you overhear the wife say, "We are lucky we were offered these tickets. Only the creme de la creme of high society is here. Too bad we missed the entrance of the president and the Spanish royal family. They say everyone looks exceptionally fashionable today." "You will probably be able to spot them once we are in the auditorium," her husband answers placatingly, and pulls her toward the stairs. You follow suit, awkwardly ascending by yourself, while most other attendees are in pairs or groups. Your partner, however, is the newspaper you are holding onto for dear life. Not the most appropriate companion, but a helpful one. A quick skimming of the article tells you the two female statues flanking the narrow stone doorway on the first landing of the grand stairs are two caryatids depicting comedy and tragedy. Standing tall like Amazons, their bronze bodies look supple and muscular and are clad in green and yellow marble drapery. Sculpted so expertly, they look like real fabric. As you step past their vigilant watch into the next hallway, you have to blink your eyes a few times due to the contrast and brightness. The rounded low vestibule is dimly lit by bronze sconces. The walls and ceiling are otherwise naked and white, and a dark wooden door leads to the auditorium. It is surprisingly dark in the narrow doorway, but you can see the splendor of the auditorium waiting on the other side as soon as you cross the threshold. You stand in a sea of red velvet and gold. 4 pairs of golden columns reach towards the ceiling, where they prop up the mount of the dome. In its middle hangs an enormous chandelier, thousands of crystals sparkling and illuminating the ceiling fresco that is surrounded by gilded mounting, like a picture frame. You can see allegories for the different times of day there, with the sun placed facing the stage and the night facing the foyer. Dawn and dusk at either side of them, floating like angels in front of a blue sky. Looking back at your ticket, you are not entirely sure where you have to go, but an usher in an understated dark uniform hurries over to you, already reaching out to relieve you of your overcoat. You quickly wrap the newspaper into the thick fabric and hand the bundle over to him with a brief thank you. "I will store it in one of the designated rooms," the young man says. "Please let me know at any time if you need anything else." Then he takes a swift look at your ticket. "Over here," he motions, leading you along the wide aisle to one of the last rows of the floor. The red velvet chair you sink into is plush, but compact, and you have to sit straight to be comfortable. "Look," the woman next to you suddenly tries to get the attention of everyone who wants to listen. "Look up at the box over there. It's Charles Garnier himself." She points up to one of the second-tier boxes in the back right corner of the room, and you spot a tall man in a suit standing by the balustrade, dark hair unruly, looking around the theater with sharp grey eyes. "They made him pay 120 francs for this, I hear," the husband of your seat neighbor says, twirling his mustache. "Can you believe it? Spending almost 15 years of your life planning and building such a magnificent architectural structure, just to not be invited to the opening ceremony, and not even offering him a decent seat." The man shakes his head with a sigh. You keep looking at Charles Garnier, surprised by his unassuming looks, and yet his unkempt locks and his tie that is done up somewhat askew speak of his artistic nature. With an uproarious opening, the orchestra startles you out of your reverie. To your astonishment, the lights do not turn off. Instead, the luminous twinkle of the chandelier shines down on the audience that is quieting down now. You relax into your chair and tip your head back slightly, letting your gaze wander over the heads in the crowd, the people in the upper boxes inspecting the attendees and their attire, the red curtain and the golden proscenium arch rising on both sides of the orchestra pit. For a few minutes, you close your eyes, taking in the classical music. One piece of music ends and the next one starts, the new tune slower and more romantic. As you sit comfortably, the music swells and grows more dramatic, pulls back again, and finally, after drifting away to the sounds of the instruments for a while, the trumpets herald a familiar melody, reminding you of a hunting party. When the last sounds of the horns fade away, you feel a presence next to you in the aisle. A young man with a handsome, clean-shaven face looks down on you with dark eyes. "It is time for us to go," he mutters. "Monsieur Dupuis?" you ask. He nods. "But it isn't the intermission yet," you say, repeating the words of the man with the monocle. A crooked smile appears on Dupuis' face as he says, "Let us better be quick, lest we be found out." At that moment, the curtain rises, revealing the painted scenery of a city square in the Middle Ages. While the crowd around you oohs and ahs, Monsieur Dupuis motions for you to follow him, so you reluctantly get up to walk along the aisle towards the exit of the auditorium. Since your companion's legs are quite long and he walks in big determined strides, you have to hurry in order to keep up with him. The music is muffled but still audible when you enter the hallway. "Where are we going?" you want to know, but Dupuis doesn't react as he leads you from the empty vestibule towards the door on the left side next to the auditorium and into a dark corridor. "We must pick her up in time or the whole plan might go to waste," Monsieur Dupuis mutters. You follow him, running almost through more doors, corridors, and down and up twisting stairways. According to the volume of the music you can still hear, you now must be closer to the stage again, somewhere behind it perhaps. Right when you are about to demand to know what is going on and what this plan your companion speaks of might be, the both of you stumble into a low unlit room that stretches out far beyond what you can see, black like the open maw of a giant beast. Sounds echo in the gloom, rattling and creaking. When your eyes finally adapt to the conditions, you can make out large wooden rope winches, operated by several men, and you realize that they must be controlling the stage set. "It's quite impressive, isn't it?" Dupuis remarks with a grin, noticing your surprise. "I wasn't aware that they needed so many men to lift the setting," you mutter. But then again, the scale of the paintings was much less apparent from the tiers, while from up close they look gigantic. "Come along now," Monsieur Dupuis urges you, pulling you up yet another stairway and directing your attention toward a door on the opposite side of the hallway. "Act like you belong here." Before you can ask any questions, you are swept into a bright studio, the parquet floor lined with ballet dancers in white costumes, with long tulle skirts. They are warming up their bodies under the light of a luster that falls on the golden columns, carrying ornamented arches and angel sculptures embracing portraits. The whole room is reflected in a mirrored wall, making it appear larger than it is. "Monsieur Dupuis," a woman in a flared white dress calls out. She does not seem to be one of the dancers. Her skirt grazes the floor, and her brown hair, while partly pinned up, falls in neat curls over her back. "I feel faint again," she says to a man next to her. You assume is a director of some sort. "I'm worried I might lose consciousness again." "We will escort Mademoiselle Archambault home safely," Dupuis declares, approaching them swiftly. There's a strange look in his eyes as he meets her gaze, and you wonder what is going to happen. I brought a family member of hers to ensure an appropriate and safe way home. Dupuis is pointing to you now, and you simply answer with, yes. Mademoiselle Archambault grabs one of your hands in hers. They are soft and warm. Thank you, darling, she says to you, for coming so quickly. You are taken aback by her charm and the twinkling of her brown eyes, so you mutter, of course. I shall see them out, a red-headed girl calls, jumping out between the other dancers and making her way toward you. Marie, the director says in an exasperated tone, it is bad enough that we have to cancel 2 acts because Rosalie fell ill. We cannot lose dances in our corps now too. Do not worry, Marie replies. I will only see Rosalie off into her carriage and shall return promptly. Rosalie Archambault grabs a hold of your arm, and your little party follows Monsieur Dupuis into the corridors of the opera house. Down and down you go, stairway after stairway, into the passages under the building. In a small alcove somewhere in a dim hallway, a man in a black soutane holding an oil lantern is waiting for you. This is our priest, Monsieur Cartier, Dupuis explains. You, he says, turning to look at you, and Mademoiselle Marie Volant will be our witnesses to the marriage. You gasp, suddenly exhilarated to be part of such a venturesome endeavor, and Marie claps her hands happily. We must make haste, Dupuis implies once more. All my family is in the theater right now, and they must not suspect anything. Cartier, please commence. With that, he gently takes Rosalie's hands into his and looks at her with an adoring smile, worthy of a wedding ceremony. The priest crosses himself and says a prayer, then opens his Bible, reading a short verse. Then he states, Jean Dupuis and Rosalie Archambault, have you come here freely and wholeheartedly to enter into marriage? Without looking away from each other, the bride and groom both answer, I have. Are you prepared as you follow the path of marriage to love and honor each other as long as you live? I am, they reply in unison. I, Jean Dupuis, take you, Rosalie Archambault, to be my wife. I promise to be faithful to you, in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, to love you and to honor you all the days of my life. I, Rosalie Archambault, take you, Jean Dupuis, to be my husband. I promise to be faithful to you in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, to love you and to honor you all the days of my life. Since there are no rings, Monsieur Cartier speaks a short blessing before announcing, in the sight of God and these witnesses, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss. The couple seals their matrimony with a chaste kiss, accompanied by the delighted applause of you and Mademoiselle Volant. She leans over to you and whispered, Isn't it so romantic? His parents would not have allowed her marriage to an opera singer. They think she's promiscuous, but he decided to marry her anyway. Now nothing stands between us, Rosalie says, smiling up at her new husband. Let us escape into the night together, my dearest. After congratulating the newlyweds, all of you begin to head into the direction you came from, but suddenly you hear voices and footfalls from the direction of the stairs. We should not be seen, Cartier exclaims. Rumors about this improper situation will spread like wildfire. Follow me, Marie demands, grabbing the lantern from the priest's hands and leading you directly to a different door in the opposite direction. You are back in the darkness under the stage between the machinery. Orchestra music from above reaches your ears, dull but distinctly mixing with the mechanic creaks of the winches and the grumbled instructions of the men handling them. It must be a scene change because the machinery is actively being rotated, one closer to you bringing a canvas down and one further away, lifting the new scenery up. None of the workers notice you in the dark, as Marie tries to hide the lantern between the voluminous skirts of Rosalie's dress. As the music fades away, Rosalie gets a wistful look in her eye, and suddenly lets out a high-pitched tone, perfectly mirroring the melody the singer on stage had just finished, her clear soprano creating an almost ghostly echo. One of the men turns around, eyes wide. A shout followed by a rumbling sound, marking a stage design falling too quickly, cuts through the quiet left behind by the classical music. Rosalie giggles and Dupuis is stifling a laugh too. His wife must look to the workers like an apparition, the white, fine fabric of her dress lightened by the lantern, making her look nearly translucent. Before any of the workers can look into the disturbance further, Monsieur Cartier pulls you back into the corridor that now, fortunately, is completely empty. From naked stone walls, you wander towards the stairs, rising up into the livelier parts of the opera house, onto black and white marble floors, where Marie bids you farewell, not without giving Rosalie a hasty hug and congratulating the lucky couple. Together with a priest, your group returns to the vestibule leading to the auditorium, using the side stairs lined by short red marble columns, merely avoiding the doors opening for the intermission and the audience spilling out of the theater. You reach the exit as the chatter of the spectators emerging into the opulent foyers rises in the building. From the grand staircase you hear applause erupting, the crowd calling out, "Bravo Garnier!" over and over again. "I will return to my parish now," Monsieur Cartier says, and turning to the newlyweds, "God bless your marriage, and good night." Then he is gone, leaving only you and the couple by the very door through which you entered the opera earlier this evening. "Thank you so much for your support. We will forever be indebted to you," Dupuis says, a grateful smile on his face, and shakes your hand with an exuberant gesture. Rosalie also extends her hand. It's soft to the touch, and her accompanying smile is bright. "If you ever need help, be assured that my husband and I will assist you." They beam at each other when she says the word husband, and you can't help but admire what a beautiful couple they make. "I wish you a long and happy life together," you say, with a sincerity that comes from the bottom of your heart. Feeling the night's cold engulf you once again, you laugh freely. With one last glance at the facade of the opera house, glowing in warm light, and the happy couple standing in front of it, you start to feel very sleepy and warm. You become aware of my voice again. I will now count to 5, and once I reach the number 5, you will fall asleep. 1. You feel comfortable and cozy warmth spreads through your entire body. 2. Your muscles relax completely. 3. You feel safe and full of love. 4. Your mind is quiet and at ease. 5. You drift off into sound and restful sleep.